So what is the best performing truck in our fleet? With over 100 power units that we're running, there's got to be one that's exceptional, and we'll try to analyze why is it exceptional. We'll talk about the mileage, we'll talk about the fuel consumption, we'll talk about that truck's specs, we'll talk about the cost per mile. So as you probably know, if a truck is running at 6 miles per gallon versus 7 miles per gallon, there's a different cost associated with running the truck. Now there's also even a bigger gap between trucks that are running at 6 miles per gallon versus trucks that are running at 8.5 and 9 miles per gallon. Well, we have these two different scenarios in our fleet. So let's take a look and see what our best truck is. All right, so before I show you the analytics of our actual fleet, let's talk a little bit about this chart over here. So I've prepared a chart over here based on different types of trucks. On the top, you'll see the difference miles per gallon, okay? So you'll see up on top, you'll see 5.5, 6, 6.5. So the flat nose trucks usually get more of the 5.5 to 6 miles per gallon. The older, I would say Volvos, Freightliners, 2016, 17s, maybe 18s, they usually get the 6.5 till about 7.5 miles per gallon. The newer truck, 2000, and I would say 22, 23, 24, the aerodynamic trucks, they are all producing anywhere between 7.5 to 9 miles per gallon. So I would say probably summertime they're 9. I'll actually show you the analytics for the last 15 days of March, and we'll go over the best performing truck here in our fleet. Now, you'll see on the left-hand side that there is the cost per gallon. So right now, our national average is about $4 per gallon is where we're at. Basically what this chart shows you that if your truck is driving at 6 miles per gallon, it costs you 67 cents per mile to run your truck. But if you had a truck running at 8.5 miles per gallon, it would cost you 47 cents per mile. So that's the difference between 6 miles per gallon and 8.5 miles per gallon. But let me now show you guys some analytics with our trucks. Let me show you here our stats. Okay, so it appears to be that in the last 15 days of March, if I get rid of this, it appears to be that the best performing truck that we have is running at 8.6 miles per gallon. So you can see here 8.6, 8.6, 8.4. We'll just quickly skim through this. You'll see 7.7. Now there are 3 pages worth. It goes all the way down to about 6.5, but let's pull out unit number 722. The unit number 722 is running at 8.6 miles per gallon. It ran in 15 days, 5,371 miles. And you can see that the cost for fuel, $1,926 for fuel. So very important is not only do we talk about the mileage, not only do we talk about the cost, but you have to look at the engine runtime hours and also the idle time. So trucks that are idling 20, 30, 40%, that's a recipe for disaster. Those are guys that are idling the truck the whole night. And you will see that, I'll show you other stats of a different truck that's running at 6 point something miles per gallon, and then we'll compare the cost difference. Now, the idle time is very, very important because that is something that accumulates over time and causes problems for your truck with your maintenance, with your repairs. These repairs and maintenance are going to come later on in the future for drivers that are idling their trucks. So a lot of the problems that people have with the Cascadias or the Volvos, with the injectors, injector cups, and the EGR and the EGR sensors, a lot of that stuff stems from the drivers idling their trucks all night. So all of our trucks, are equipped with battery and diesel APU units, and that's why you see these low idle times, the 10% and 10.5, 10.2%, and you'll see that, in the analytics, I'll show you in just a bit, the guys that are idling 30% of the time, so that is a red flag for us for our own fleet. So if anybody's driving our fleet trucks and is idling their trucks, that's a red flag for us. We really want these trucks off. So now we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison. So you can see that our number 1 performing truck is 8.6 miles per gallon, which is a Freightliner. Okay, and the second one here is, I would say 722 is a 2023 Freightliner, and then unit 343 is a Volvo. So anything in our fleet that starts with a 7 is a Freightliner, anything that's with a 3 is a Volvo. So 343, you can see here that it's 8.4 miles per gallon, but you can see here that from our top performing trucks, unit number 722 is 8.6 miles per gallon, unit number 702 is 8.6 miles per gallon, which is another Freightliner, followed by a 8.4, which is a Volvo. So our best performing trucks for the last 15 days are the 2 Cascadias, followed by a Volvo, followed by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more Cascadias. So also, our fleet, I would say, is probably in the last 4 years we've converted into the Cascadias, but why don't we talk a little bit about how we spec them? All right, so a little bit about how we spec our trucks. So these are all Detroit DD15 engines with 465 horsepower. They're DT12 automated transmission. They are 12 speed. The rear axle ratios is 264. All right, our trucks are all governed at 65 miles per hour. The sweet spot for these Freightliners are all 61 to 62 miles per hour. Okay, so if these trucks were governed at 61 or 62, they would most likely be producing much better results than this. Even though the sweet spot is 61 miles per hour, we govern our trucks at 65 miles per hour. All right, so here is the comparison. I have an owner operator here with one of those older units, flat nose trucks. It's unit number 180 in our fleet. We'll go over his stats. The truck is running at 6.3 miles per gallon, which a lot of the people that I talk to and a lot of the small fleet owners that I consult, they have these older flat nose trucks in the US and in Canada. So 6.3 miles per gallon. You can see that the owner operator drove 11,975 miles. And you can see here how much the estimated cost is based on today's national average. The estimated cost for fuel is what this driver spent on. So $5,887. This is the stats from March 1st to March 28th. So this is the latest stats. Okay, now we're gonna take a Cascadia that drove for the exact same miles for the entire month of March, also with similar mileage. So here's the driver, unit number 722, drove at 8.3 miles per gallon. You can see that he drove 11,328 miles. All right, so that was unit number 180. Now we're gonna compare it to unit number 698 because they have pretty much identical miles. So the owner operator drove 11,975 miles, while this company truck drove 12,335 miles. Now you can see here that the cost for fuel on the 12,000 miles was $4,671. Now that's a difference of over $1,000. Now again, the company truck drove about 400 miles more and spent about $1,200 less in fuel. Now, if you were to compare the exact same mileage with the exact same fuel, you're probably looking about a $1,600 difference. Now, that's every single month that these Cascadias outperform these older units. Okay, that's almost like an entire lease payment. Now, even though I chose the flat nose truck that drove at 6.3 miles per gallon, you can see here that that flat nose truck does not idle. The owner operator is very disciplined and he idled only 20 hours throughout the entire month of March, where you can see that the company driver actually idled 51 hours, okay? So he didn't do a good job. I think that miles per gallon can get a little bit better. Now, let's go back to that chart so you can see the difference between a driver driving at 6 miles per gallon versus somebody that's driving at 8 or 8.5. So we, in our scenario, had 8.6 miles per gallon. So you can see that the difference between 8.6, which we'll bring it down to 8.5 miles per gallon, at $4, that's 47 cents per mile. Where the flat nose trucks, okay, or where the scenario that we took with the owner operator at 6 miles per gallon or 6.2, that's cost 67 cents per mile. Okay, so the difference between, running an older truck versus running a newer truck is about 20 cents per mile. Now that's a lot. When you are running at $3, $4, $5 a mile, nobody really cares about this 20 cents per mile. Multiply that by 10,000 miles. That's a difference of $2,000. Really, nobody cares when you're billing $3, $4, or $5 a mile. But when the national freight rates are so low, running at 2.01 on an open load boards, okay, the driver that it costs them 47 cents per mile, they have a much more competitive advantage versus the driver that's running at 67 cents per mile. That truck that I chose is our best performing Cascadia in our fleet. Now, I will also be doing a video on the best performing Volvo and the best performing Kenworth in our fleet. So stay tuned, make sure you're a subscriber to this channel. Hopefully you learned something from this video. I'm Ronen and I'll catch you in my next video.